Today, I will be ranking every area in Dark Souls 3. I'll be ranking these areas on two main factors: how difficult I found them and how much fun I found them. Uh, Favorites, I will talk about at the end, but visually, I just want to show the difficulty as well as the fun level of each area in Dark Souls 3. This does include DLC areas, and one thing of note is this is only on a first playthrough, a blind first playthrough. Not New Game Plus may change my opinions about some, but this is a first playthrough only. I used big, dumb, two-handed melee weapons, no shields, no spells, strength-based weapons, the halberd for most of the game, and then I switched to the dragon tooth, the big club near the end of it. So that's my basic experience. Without too much more ado, though, I do want to get into this. I plan on doing them mostly in order. I may do a few out of order, but I'll be going mostly in the general order of the game. With that being said, the first area is the Cemetery of Ash. For a tutorial area, it was threatening, but not usually killing me. However, the optional Crystal Lizard was a fun added challenge that did actually make it difficult. So I liked that a lot, and it also made it more difficult, which was really nice. So that gets it points in both scales. Also, it was kind of fun for a tutorial area, so higher on fun difficulty, but not like bottom of the barrel for difficulty. I'll start with it there. I'll do adjustments later. Second area, Firelink Shrine. Actually, Cemetery of Ash also has that guy with the katana. For that, I'm moving it up to there. Firelink Shrine. That area didn't really have much in the way of enemies. It has the one kind of parkour area through the tower. So that makes it not at the very bottom. For fun, it's not really unfun. Put it here. I'll put it there for now. Not much in Firelink, but it's not bottom of the barrel either. Next up will be the High Well of Lothric. High Well of Lothric's big. It's a very large area. It's all the way down to Vort of the Boreal Valley. And I didn't find this area that fun, I'm going to be honest. Not as fun as Cemetery of Ash, for sure. At times, it was very frustrating. I liked the bit with the dragon. That was really cool. But the problem I had is the enemies that kept turning into the weird black oil demon snakes. I don't know what they were. I hate them. They aren't fun. They just seem like a BS challenge of something that you can't read the attacks on or dodge easily. So that really drags us down for fun and raises it for difficulty. As well, there were a lot of other tough parts. So I think it's going to be below Firelink because it was actually unfun at times. And fairly high for difficulty. I'm going to put it there for difficulty for now. Yeah, I'm going to start with it there. I may move it up later, but for now, I'm happy with that. The next big area is the Undead Settlement, as far as I'm aware. Undead Settlement, I didn't find as tough as High Well of Lothric. Definitely tougher than the Cemetery of Ash. It had some tough parts, like the ladies who cast spells and try and hug you. As well as the guys with giant pots. But it was also kind of fun. I enjoyed fighting a lot of the enemies in the Undead Settlement. Yeah, no, I think I would say I enjoyed Undead Settlement. It's going to be higher on the fun, and I'd say around there on difficulty. So for now, Undead Settlement's fairly high fun, fairly high difficulty. Not ridiculous in either. Next is Road of Sacrifices. Road of Sacrifices, I hated. It had a lot of very spammy enemies, which I really don't like. And they just kept comboing you, and it was hard to see their attacks. And you died very quickly. Despite that, it wasn't really any harder than Undead Settlement. It was just a lot less fun. There wasn't really anything I liked in the Road of Sacrifices. I'm going to put it a bit lower on difficulty, I think. Because it was really just the annoying spammy enemies. But I'm putting that about as far left as it can go for difficulty. For fun. Because it wasn't. After the Road of Sacrifices... Oh, what's the next area? Let's see. Road of Sacrifices, then the Cathedral of the Deep. I'm trying to decide then. Cathedral of the Deep. So that's an interesting area. I'll be honest, I don't remember the Cathedral of the Deep that well. So, what I would say is the Cathedral... it's a hard one. I'm pulling up the location just so I can look at the Cathedral. Because, like, what was this area? Oh, wait! Oh, yes, I remember this area now. This area is big. This is the whole area that leads to... Wait, the Cathedral. Oh, no, this is the big Cathedral. Why is this listed as the next area? I didn't think this was. No, next is Pharaon Keep. I'm doing Pharaon Keep next. No, I'll do Cathedral in a bit. Pharaon Keep. That's a big poison area. That's a big thing. Road of Sacrifice also had the poisons, the swamp, which isn't fun. Pharaon Keep, yeah, no, it's not fun, but I didn't actually hate it as much as I thought it would. Difficulty-wise, I didn't find it that tough. There were a few tough enemies. I think Cemetery is too high. I'm gonna put it just below Road of Sacrifices. On fun, I'm putting it a bit below the wall. I'm putting Cemetery lower on difficulty already. Now I think I'll do the Cathedral of the Deep. Because this cathedral... Yeah, that was before the catacombs. See, the cathedral was really interesting. The area around it was annoying, but that was more so the other stuff like Pharaon Keep. But the cathedral itself was brutal. For some reason, one lady with the book, like, kept murdering me when the others weren't, which I found really weird. So I found Cathedral was very inconsistent with its difficulty, but was still very, very difficult. So Cathedral's gonna get pretty high for difficulty. Because also the Giant was not easy. For fun, though, I mean, there weren't many BS enemies. The guy who cursed, the big enemy who curses you was not fun. But I enjoyed fighting the Giants. The Patches encounter was really funny because they killed the Giants first. I'm trying to think, what else was there really in the Cathedral? I was really fought the Deacons of the Deep. Honestly, I liked the area. It was fun. Was it as fun as Undead Settlement? I think it was more fun, but also less fun, but higher difficulty. I think it's slightly more fun, but also the highest difficulty of any area so far. There were a lot of very hard parts of the Cathedral. The first giant, that one lady for some reason. The other giants weren't easy, and there were a lot of just threatening enemies, like the guy who curses you down at the bottom. After that, I believe we get to the Catacombs of Carthus. So, the Catacombs. I liked them a lot more like the Dark Souls 1 Catacombs, I can say that for sure. As a whole, the skeletons respawning weren't that irritating. I liked the giant rolling skeleton ball. I didn't find it that tough. I did die a few times, so it was definitely difficult. I'm gonna lower Pharaon Keep a bit, because I didn't find Pharaon Keep that bad. I'm gonna put it around the same difficulty as, like, Road of Sacrifices. Fun level, the skeleton ball made it fun. Most of the skeleton enemies here were actually kind of fun to fight. I love the bridge encounter. So actually, I think this is the most fun area. Harder or easier than Road? I think easier than Road. I'm gonna put it barely touching the line. And over here on fun. It wasn't super fun, but it was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed the Catacombs. After the Catacombs, there's a few areas. The one I'm going to talk about is the Smoldering Lake, actually. Let's do that one. Now, to be fair, I only visited the Smoldering Lake very, very far in. I missed it my first time through, and after beating pretty much the whole game, I went back and did Smoldering Lake. That being said, it seemed surprisingly difficult, given how late I did it. The crabs are never easy enemies to fight. As well, the giant harpoon guy was really annoying, and this worm was hard to dodge. So Smoldering Lake, actually, I'm going to put pretty high on difficulty. I think above Undead Settlement. Fun? There wasn't much. It wasn't really fun. I liked the interactivity between, like, the harpoons, knocking down walls and stuff. So I'm going to put it here, I think. I think that's a good spot for Smoldering Lake. What to next? Irithyll Dungeon should be after Irithyll, which I should have Yorshka before it. Alright, I think I could do Irithyll of the Boreal Valley now. Irithyll of the Boreal Valley felt like absolute BS and I hated it. The enemies were brutal to fight. And they were the enemies you fight every time. The big range enemies were annoying. Irithyll of the Boreal Valley, I hated the area. So, difficulty-wise, it's the hardest one, easily. This is easily the hardest area so far, maybe in the game. Fun-wise, I didn't find it fun at all. That being said, was it less fun than the Road of Sacrifices? I don't think so, because in here, the enemies, you could at least dodge their attacks. So I'm going to put it here. That's where I'm putting Irithyll of the Boreal Valley. Next, I'll do the Church of Yorshka, because this isn't really a big area. It has a couple enemies, but it's less than Firelink. This one goes on the bottom. Fun, I mean, it was a break, but it was even, like, less. So I'm going to put it beside Firelink. These are the ones where they're not really fun or unfun, and they get more fun to the right. Irithyll Dungeon. That's a big area. I spent a lot of time in. And I think the reason I spent a lot of time was all the exploring I needed to do. And it had a lot of paths. I liked it. It was tough. It was definitely tough. I think I have most of these slightly too high up, actually. So I'm going to lower all these a little bit. It was really tough, but it was also on the fun side. How fun? I think Undead Settlement level. It was not Cathedral level fun. It was not, actually, it was a Cathedral level fun. No, I don't think it was. Was it Undead Settlement level fun? What was fun about the Undead Settlement? The area was just kind of cool as a whole. Some of the enemies were fun to fight. I don't think it was quite that level. Difficulty-wise, it was really tough. I think it beats out High Wall. Does it beat out Cathedral? Not quite. So I'm going to put it just here. Just below Cathedral in terms of difficulty. But definitely above most of them in terms of difficulty. After that, we get to the Profaned Capital. This was a weird area. There wasn't much, but there were a few tough enemies. So it's not easy, because there were a lot of enemies there. But it felt just kind of like they swarmed you. I'm going to put Smoldering Lake, because that's the first... Everything above Smoldering Lake is a tough area. I think this is the bottom of the tough areas. So, how fun was it? It wasn't. There wasn't really anything fun about it. I like Smoldering Lake more. I like Firelink more. I think it goes between Church and Firelink. I think that's a good spot for Profaned Capital. Alright, after that, we have Anor Londo. Anor Londo was not as tough as I expected it to be. It had tough elements, but I think it's comparable. You know what? I'm putting Undead Settlement above this. I think Anor Londo is slightly tougher than Undead Settlement. So what I'm going to do, I keep lowering the difficulty of all these. Smoldering Lake I can put right in the middle. I'm going to put Anor Londo, and the thing is, so difficulty-wise, it's in this area. It was easier than the capital, but still tough. How fun was it? It was fun. It had another one of the curse guides, which lowers it. But I liked the nostalgia of Anor Londo. I really liked going back there. Had a blast. I think, though, it didn't have much going for it, but it had a lot of nostalgia, which was really cool and made it really fun. That being said, I think I'm moving the Catacombs up for fun and putting Anor Londo just behind them. After Anor Londo, you get, like, Lothric's Castle / Consumed King's Garden. I'm gonna do Consumed King's Garden first. So, Actually, no, I'm going to do Lothric Castle, Grand Archives, then Garden Graves. So Lothric Castle, that was a big area. It had some tough enemies, but for the most part, it felt just like a fairly generic castle. It had the two big dragons. That's the big part of Lothric Castle. They weren't as interactive as I would have liked. And the giant enemies made it less fun. So I would say this area is actually unfun side. Over here. Compared to High Wall of Lothric, I like it more than High Wall of Lothric. So I'm gonna move Smoldering Lake right to the middle. I'm gonna move the not unfun, not fun to more the middle. Because this is the least unfun of the unfuns. Difficulty, it's tough. I think it's comparable with Undead Settlement, actually. Like, I died a few times to the big enemies. I'll put it a bit above Undead Settlement. Actually, no, it's above Anor Londo. Below Profaned. Alright, there we go. There's a good spot for Lothric. Grand Archives. Books. Oh, this area was BS. I hated it. Until, like, getting through this area the first time sucks. Because there's a lot... It's just so many enemies. Who are hard to dodge. And the stupid spellcasters. Like, it wasn't that... Oh, it was that long. This includes the rooftops. Oh, this was a really tough area. Okay, this is the second toughest compared to Irithyll so far. Fun-wise, it wasn't fun. Rooftops were kind of cool, but not fun because the gargoyle enemies are just annoying to fight. Less fun than High Wall and Farron Keep? Yes, it was less fun than those. I like it more than Irithyll, so it goes right here. That is the spot for the Grand Archives. Alright, Consume King's Garden. For a poison swamp, it wasn't that bad. Because it was short, there wasn't much to it. The giant enemies you could easily avoid. So difficulty, I'm putting it around Cemetery of Ash. You can make it tough by fighting everything. And the poison swamp should make it tough. Hold up. For some reason, the ambient music just stopped. So, it honestly is pretty low in difficulty. I'm putting it below Cemetery, because I would not have died here if not for choosing to fight things. Fun, it wasn't. I think it's the least... I think it's between Lothric and the Church. Because there wasn't really unfun, but, like, there was nothing fun to it at all. Lothric's the first one where I disenjoyed parts of it. I'm going to move all these a little bit more right, too. Just to make it a bit clearer. Okay, there we go. That looks better. Alright, Untended Graves. Untended Graves was the area meant to resemble the Cemetery of Ash. And it did. I recognized it, even though I'd only played through Cemetery in this game once. And that was cool. And then after that, you have a bunch of Black Knights in a mock Firelink. This area, difficulty-wise, wasn't that tough. I would say slightly higher just because of the Black Knights. Fun-wise, I loved it. This was like the cool part of Anor Londo without the annoying part. How does it compare to the Catacombs? Because the Catacombs actively had some fun stuff. But I don't think they had enough. I think this is the most fun area so far. It still isn't that fun. This area doesn't have fun stuff. This game doesn't seem to have that much fun, unfortunately. So I'm putting it there. That is the most fun one so far, but not a tough one. Next up is Archdragon Peak. Again, this one I found after beating the final boss. So, but to be fair, it is a late game area. So you get in, you fight some enemies, it's not that bad. You get to the first boss, and for the first time I'm not separating the area from that boss. It was a pain traversing that area just because the enemies are so annoying. Then the next areas have constantly respawning enemies. Those also aren't fun to fight. Then you can fight a dragon, and it would be a fun fight if it didn't knock you off the map. So, Archdragon Peak is high on difficulty, low on fun. Like a lot of these areas. How high on difficulty? I don't think on level with Grand Archives. I think High Wall's a bit too high. Again, I'm lowering the difficulty of all of these. Alright, Lothric down a bit more, a little bit above Anne Orlando. Profaned Capital just above that. Then High Wall of Lothric goes down a bunch. Then Dungeon? Cathedral, I think it's between Cathedral and Grand Archives. How unfun was it compared to Grand Archives and Irithyll? The enemies are more annoying, and it was longer than Grand Archives. I don't hate it as much as Irithyll, though. Okay. There we go. I think that's a good way of handling the left side. Alright, now we are on to the Kiln of the First Flame. This is the area where you fight the final boss. There's not much else here. Because of that, it has 0 difficulty. It has the lowest difficulty of any area. Fun? It was cool. I liked it. And just for the cool factor? No, I don't think it beats out Firelink. Does it beat out Profaned? No, does it beat out Church? Yes. So I'm going to move Church to the left and put Kiln right here. I think Kiln, Church, and Firelink is the 3 areas with effectively no enemies. They should be the 3 easiest. And I think I like Kiln's more fun than Church. Firelink's the most fun of the 3. That is the base game of Dark Souls 3. There are now the 3 DLC areas. So, the first of those is the Painted World of Arianda. There's a lot to go through here. So as you start off in a small area, there's a bunch of enemies with torches and swords. It wasn't that tough, it was kind of fun beating them up. Then you get a bunch of wolves. Again, not that tough, kind of fun beating them all up. The one big wolf was tougher, still very beatable. Then you get to that one building where you have the big enemies in the town part. And that's where it starts to get difficult. Through there's then like a Dark Spirit or something who was really fun to fight. It heals a lot. Then there's another area with a lot of the torch and sword guys. Then there's the weird indoor area at the end with all the bleed guys. It was tough. It was really tough. I think it's comparable with Grand Archives. I think I'll put it between Grand Archives and Archdragon. Fun-wise, I liked it. I think I put it here for these. I think that's the right spot for Painted World of Arianda. It was enjoyable. Not too much special about it, but enjoyable. The snow making you fall through was cool. Actually, just for the snow, I think it goes above those and just below the cathedral. Alright, the Dreg Heap. This is the area where you keep going down. Landing in the ash. Continuing to explore. It does have a poison swamp. It does have those weird butterflies who spam attacks. It has a lot of the big enemies who honestly weren't that bad to fight. Difficulty, it's much lower than Painted World, I think. I died several times here, just like I died more in Painted World, I think. Maybe, actually, I'm not sure. But it didn't feel as difficult. Once I figured out how to kill the butterflies, they weren't that bad. I also had an invader here the first time I played it. Because I had an Ember. And that actually made it brutal. It was a good brutal. The constantly respawning enemies are absolutely add to the difficulty. Fun. I thoroughly enjoyed the jumping down, running around the tree branches. Oh, that's another thing. The tree branches in Painted World made it very tough. Putting it down a little. There we go. So Dreg Heap isn't as tough. It's still very tough. Once again, I'm going to lower most things. Just so I have more room near the top of difficulty to distinguish between them. There we go. Now that looks better. Now I can easier distinguish what was tougher. Because Dreg Heap, I think, is around the Irithyll Dungeon Cathedral level. I think it's between those two, in fact. So I'm going to move Irithyll Dungeon down. More fun than Undead Settlement? Yeah. Dreg Heap was actually quite fun. I thoroughly enjoyed Dreg Heap. Between Catacombs and Orlando? Or more fun than Catacombs? I think more fun than I think less fun than Catacombs. It was cool, but didn't have that, like, not as much cool stuff. Finally, we get to Ringed City. This area was also tough. There's a lot of tough areas in this game. And I died a lot. But, because there's the initial dragon fight, which I loved the initial dragon fight, the dodging around the fire when it's shooting it at you. There's the weird guys who summon things at you, and they're tough to fight. Kind of fun, though. I wish they didn't respawn. They feel like an enemy that really shouldn't have respawned. Dark Souls 3 needed more big enemies who don't respawn. 1 and 2 did a good job of that. As a whole, I think Ringed City was very difficult. Harder than Painted World. Harder than Grand Archives. But not as hard as Irithyll, I'd say. As well, there are a few other tough areas here. So I think it's the second toughest area. Fun? Honestly, there wasn't much fun here. Other than, I guess there was the dragon. The dragon was fun. And of course, some of the swamp area was kind of fun. But mostly just the dragon was fun. The cursed guys were annoying. So, like, there are fun elements. I think it's below Anor Londo. I think Dragheap goes, the Ring City goes right there. So, we now have our scale. We now have every one of these locations marked. I'm going to go through it, difficulty and fun, and see if I agree with the order. So right now, I have the least fun as the Road of Sacrifices. That's true. Then I have Irithyll. Also true. Those are ones I actively very much dislike. Archdragon Peak, I didn't like. Because it was just, the enemies in the area were just annoying. I like the rolly guys. You know what? I think Archdragon actually is more fun than Grand Archives. So I think it's that order for these three. I think that's the way I can actually handle those. Then I have Farron Keep and then High Wall of Lothric. Honestly, I might swap those two. I think I will. I think I found Farron Keep less annoying, which is impressive given it's a poison swamp. Then I have Lothric Castle. Yeah, no, that's right. That was an annoying area, but not as bad as Farron Keep. Then I have Consumed King's Garden as the first meh area, because it was meh, but slightly worse. I agree. Church of Yoshka is the most meh. Then I have Profaned Capital. Then I have Kiln. Is that order right? I think so, yeah. Then I have Fire Lake. Yes. Then I have Smoldering Lake. Yes. Alright, this order's looking good. This order's looking good for fun. Then I have Cemetery of Ash. Undead Settlement. And some other stuff. I think that's accurate. Cemetery of Ash should be next. It's a fairly simple area. Then Undead Settlement. Then the Dungeon. Yeah. Painted World had some cool stuff with the snow. I think the Dungeon's next, then Painted World. Cathedral. Cathedral absolutely had some fun stuff. Yeah, honestly, yeah, Cathedral's there. Ring City before, after Cathedral. Why is that high on fun? The dragon. The dragon's why it's that high on fun. Does it still deserve that? Does the rest take away from it? Because the Cathedral, I think I'm actually underrating on fun. I think Ring City's next. So Cathedral, I think does fall below the rest of these, though. Because next I have Anor Londo, Dragheap, Catacombs, and Graves. I think that's right. I think that's the right order of these. Alright, so I have the fun order correct. Now I'm going to go through the details for difficulty. Kiln's the easiest, there's nothing. Church of Yoshka's next. Then Firelink, yeah, those are all, like, negligible difficulty. Then I have the Garden, then the Cemetery. Yes. Okay, so I like that order for the bottom. Then I have Untended Graves, then Farron Keep. Again, I think that's accurate. I like their heights. Then I have the Catacombs. And I think that's accurate. Then I have Road of Sacrifices, then Smoldering Lake. I think that's accurate. Those are not too tough. Road of Sacrifices is just annoying. Alright. Then I have Undead Settlement, then Anor Londo. Was Anor Londo easier? I mean, the hard parts of Anor Londo are brutal. I think Anor Londo deserves to stay there. And then Lothric Castle is slightly tougher than Anor Londo, I agree. Alright, perfect. Like, moves you exactly on the line. Alright, I like that. Profaned Capital, is that harder than those? Yes. Yes, it is. Those big groups of enemies. Like, you don't have to do much, but the things that are there are very tough. Then High Wall of Lothric. Yeah. High Wall of Lothric's tough. For an early game, I mean, to be fair, so was, like, Undead Bird. High Tower of Flame is one of the hardest areas in Dark Souls 2, so, I mean, I'm not that shocked. There's a hard area early on. Then Irithyll Dungeon. Yeah, I agree, that's slightly tougher. Not much. Dragheap. Yep. Cathedral. Archdragon. Painted. Grand. Ring. Yeah. I think I have the order. Alright, so their locations are finalized. This is the final layout of my Dark Souls 3 areas. I'm gonna group it all. Nope. Group it all. And make it slightly bigger. Woo. Woo. There we go. There we go. That's about as big as I can get it. So, now for my favorites. I want to rank these in terms of favorite to least favorite. Oh, this is going to be tough. Alright, least favorites for Road of Sacrifices, then Irithyll. That's easy. I'm going to say Road, then Irithyll, then Archives. I did not like Archives. Then I'm actually going to put High Wall of Lothric. Archdragon Peak and Havel. That bumps it up in my book. So I'm actually going to say High Wall, Lothric Castle, Farron Keep. Profaned Capital. No. So Road and Irithyll, and then Grand. I'm going to then go High, Lothric, Farron, Consumed, Profaned. Because those are the ones I would say I didn't like. Then I'll do the Church, because that's the most mediocre. Then Archdragon Peak. So despite how unfun and difficult it is, I can still appreciate it, if nothing else, because it is Havel and Rolly Boys. So, yeah, Archdragon Peak I like a lot more than everything, like, up to here on fun. Kiln, Firelink. I actually think I like Kiln more than Firelink. Just because of the atmosphere of it. It's not as much to do, but I like Kiln more than Firelink. And I like both of those more than Smoldering Lake. Smoldering Lake falls behind Kiln with the First Flame and Firelink Shrine. So it goes Road, Irithyll, Grand, Wall, Lothric, Keep, Consume, Profaned, Church, Archdragon, Smoldering, Firelink, Kiln. Then I'm going to do Settlement, Cemetery. And now I'm into the ones I would say I like. I think the dungeon has to be next. Or maybe... Actually, no. I think Ring City is my next least favorite. I think it goes Ring City, Dungeon, Cathedral. I think those are the next three. Ring City, Dungeon, Cathedral. Because the Cathedral was fun, but the other parts of it were just kind of annoying, too. It was annoying to get around. Then I'd say Painted World. It had good parts, it had bad parts. As a whole, I'm being nice and putting it there. The branch park growth was not a good part. Then we have Anor Londo, Dragheap, Catacombs, and Untended Graves. Ooh, this is tough. Anor Londo's gonna be high on those. Dragheap. I think Dragheap's next. Like, yes, it was really fun, but I don't like it as much as I like these. Partially for nostalgia, partially for just cool. So Dragheap's below these three, which are my favorites. Of these three, I think Catacombs is my least favorite of the three. I like the nostalgia for both of these. And I'm gonna have to go Untainted Graves, then Anor Londo. So I'm putting Anor Londo the favorite area in Dark Souls 3. Honestly, that doesn't surprise me that much. But Untainted Graves I also love. Because it has a similar energy to Anor Londo. I think Untainted Graves is really good. But Anor Londo, I'm putting as my favorite. Anor Londo favorite, Road to Sacrifice is least favorite, Irithyll Valley hardest, Killed easiest, Untainted Graves most fun, just for the nostalgia, Road least fun. But no, I think that's about does it for my area ranking. Next time, I'll be doing the ranking of Dark Souls 3 bosses. And let's just say, I have stronger opinions on those, as bosses are typically more memorable than areas, especially in Dark Souls 3.